Whether you look at it as a Monday to Sunday, or you look at it as a Saturday to what is it, Friday night for the Jewish people, it works. It's a system that works, and it was a system that was instituted by God, and he presents this idea. But what I also love is that at the beginning of creation, it didn't look like that. It starts off in chaos, and it says that that the Spirit of God, the Ruach of Elohim, hovers over the deep, the abyss, and as we journey through, the text of the Torah and the Tanakh, we start to realize that this idea of the abyss and this chaos in the sea starts to become this representation of, like, sometimes evil, sometimes chaos, sometimes what man fears, and we see that the Spirit of God is hovering over it, and then he's about to do something, and he starts with saying, "Let there be light." The beginning of the orderly presentation of how we see the world today starts with God speaking into existence and speaking light, separating the light from the darkness, which tells us one thing: God didn't create darkness. Darkness is something that's void of light. So God creates this light at the beginning of the story. And from there, he starts bringing things into order day by day by day. When you think about some of the ways that the world looks at creation, they think of the Big Bang Theory as like bang, and that was it. And then it was evolution. But the claims that the first two sentences, the first two verses of the Bible are making is it's fighting against atheism, saying that there is a God. It's fighting against polytheism, that there is one God. It's fighting against materialism, pantheism, where God is everything.
And the Bible says God is different than the world.
Yeah,
I love your point. Like, there is a God, there's one God. God is different than the world.
He's separate.
Yeah,
he's not in creation. He's separate from creation, and that's what that very, very first sentence is making. I always say to people, if you can get your head around the first statement of the Torah and the Tanakh, everything else should be pretty easy. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Yeah, there you go.
It's his. He has sovereignty, ownership. He has every right to do what he wants with creation as he pleases, because ultimately it belongs to him. And then as we get to the end of the 7-day creation story, we see that God has brought order from chaos. And it wasn't in one day. And I think if you and I were given the privilege of standing next to the creator of the universe on day one, we probably would have looked at him and said, I don't know if I can live here. Like, there's no food, there's definitely no land, it's pretty dark, I don't know what time it is, and it would be impossible for humanity to actually inhabit the earth on day one. And it doesn't, until we get to day 6, we realize that God is doing something, but he's doing something on his clock, in his time, which I think is incredible because, from an application point of view, for someone who's wrestling with how God is working in their life or how God is interacting in their life, we often want all our problems solved on day one. We present God a problem and we say, I need this fixed, and the quicker you can do it, the better. And yet what we see with God is when there was a problem with the chaos of a world that was not possible to maintain or inhabit humans, God says, you have to wait. Because it's not going to be until we get to that day 7 where I rest, where you'll actually see what I'm seeing, which is good.